Real Madrid against Bayern Munich. Talk to us about what you think is going to happen here.
Oh, by the way, we all got our predictions right, did we not? We had, for sure, we had this Final Four. I didn't. Interestingly enough, the one that I got right was Dortmund. I don't know why Dortmund of all the other favorites, but anyway, I mean, we've seen this movie before on numerous occasions when it comes to Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, and there's probably a reason for that, right? They are royalty of this competition. There's no doubt about that, and it's not just for the past, but in particular for what they did in their in the last matches, because I don't think they necessarily were the favorites. I'm not saying that Real Madrid are underdogs, but I think after that result at the Bernabeu 3-3, everybody felt that maybe we're going to see the same story as we did last season. Manchester City are going to see it through. They didn't, through a extremely good performance from Real Madrid, heroic, in maybe not a desperate way, because some seem to suggest that, and I certainly won't, because I thought it was a tremendous display of what Real Madrid are all about. And same could be said about Bayern Munich with Thomas Tuchel, knowing that he's not going to be there at the end of the season. Astute tactician, as we all know, right? Thomas Tuchel, I think if you give him 1 or 2 games, he's done it with Chelsea when he came in January. Remember when they won it? I don't necessarily think that this was a superb Chelsea team, certainly not one of their best. And he saw it through, and once again, he did his homework watching Arsenal play against Porto, and took care of the likes of Saka or the White game in general, and saw it through. So again, I'm looking forward to it. Massive 2 clubs that have been or have met in this competition so many times that I don't even remember.
He was definitely helped along, though, Tuchel, wasn't he? Because we actually saw desire from these Bayern players that perhaps we haven't seen too much at all in the Bundesliga this year. This is a competition they showing themselves to want. They worked so hard in that game against Arsenal.
Well, they did. I mean, obviously, it helps a little bit that this is the only thing that's left for the mighty Bayern Munich. Don't forget about that, because that plays a big role. I'm not saying if they were the champions of Bundesliga right now that they wouldn't go for it, but I think the momentum and confidence would have been so much different. So I think we always knew that this Bayern Munich team has been underperforming. There's a reason why Thomas Tuchel resigned. Otherwise, he'd probably be forced to go. And certainly, you can't look at the season as a good one, because it hasn't been. So it's one way of, I suppose, or a chance to salvage a little bit, because there's so much quality in that team.
Real Madrid's second leg at the Bernabeu, Janusz. I know that's a big, big deal when it comes to a tie like this.
Of course, and we've seen what Real Madrid are capable of, as they've shown against Manchester City. They're capable of going away, but certainly at the Bernabeu, a little bit like Atleti, right? I mean, they're a different team when they're home, and when they're away, they've gone through a gauntlet of teams a couple of seasons ago when they won it. They've beat just about everybody, in terms of the big boys. So it certainly is an advantage, but this time around, it's not just an advantage. Not just an advantage of second leg, but they are, I believe, slightly better team than Bayern Munich. So they'll be favorites, no doubt. They are favorites for me now to win it all.
There you go. You've just answered my next question. So you've got Real Madrid in the final here. But who will they be facing? The other game's PSG against Borussia Dortmund. And I'll start with Borussia Dortmund, because you said that's one team that you did pick. And it's not that surprising when you watch the Bundesliga, because one thing we know about Borussia Dortmund is to expect the unexpected. You're just as surprised either way with them, if they either play really bad or they play really well.
Well, they have the pedigree as well. The teams that are left have the pedigree to a larger degree or smaller degree, obviously, in terms of winning, but they've won this competition. They've been very consistent over the seasons, even if things don't go well for them in the Bundesliga, which is the case as well for them, because they're fighting for their lives to get back. Although no, because 5 places, Italy got it. So they're fighting. They're fighting for it right now. But they are a much different team in the Champions League, and I think maybe that pedigree, maybe a little bit of experience with some of these players, key players that are still remaining with the squad of Dortmund, helps a bit. And as I've mentioned, Atleti away from home, not always the greatest team. Yeah, I just felt that that one goal. Remember, because I mean it was all Atleti in the first leg, and the first half alone, I think it should have been maybe 4-0 for Atletico Madrid, but it didn't happen. Some key substitutions. What I like about this Dortmund team, the couple players that are so key to them are finally coming good, and one of it is Julian Brandt, one of my favorite players. We talk now so much about Bayer Leverkusen. Remember, when when Brandt was leaving Leverkusen. I think it has taken all these years now, finally, for me to see the Brandt from years ago, because he was the spark plug in the game against Atleti away when he came in the second half, and here he was absolutely wonderful. And if you look at Zabitzer, my goodness, I mean, it's just all of a sudden, against Gladbach, couple goals. Also had that weird penalty, didn't he?
Yeah.
Scored it, but it was then called back. And then in this game, a great goal and two incredible assists. The cross to Fulkrug for that header was picture perfect. So it's good when you key players contribute and start playing, to that degree as well. We've seen their wide games as dangerous with Adeyemi and all that. So I like them against Atleti. Here, it's a different ball wax, and I'm surprised saying that.
So what are they going? What's going to be their problem here against the PSG side with a Kylian Mbappe, and if Kylian Mbappe's on his day?
I just think that after all these great years, after the plastic project, after the Messis, Neymar, the Mbappes of the world, the Galacticos of or the second Galacticos, if you will, because you have to consider Real Madrid the real Galacticos. But, as close as it comes to that, after that push, which, by the way, was unsuccessful, although we have to say that PSG were in the semifinal and the final of this competition. But now they changed it. Lucho has the experience, an incredible coach. He's trusted the young players, because there is a turnaround in terms of philosophy at PSG, where they no longer want these big names. They want to keep some of the young French players that have gone elsewhere. Why have they gone elsewhere? Because there's no place for them to be amongst the Galacticos. They would never get a chance. So what I'm seeing right now is that belief. It's obviously, I would imagine, a lot less pressure now, because nobody expected PSG to be where they are right now. But Ousmane Dembele, Lucho found a way to kind of rein him in somehow, right? Remember all the issues he's had. And by the way, Ousmane Dembele just played against Barcelona's former team, and now he's going to be playing against Borussia Dortmund. And remember how he left. Nobody really knows, because if I remember correctly, Dortmund didn't even know where he was and what happened to him when he's left. So that's going to be interesting. But it seems that Lucho Enrique has found a way for him to be not selfish. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of goals, but he's one of the most dangerous players in all of Europe in terms of his contributions. So the story goes on and on and on. And Kylian Mbappe, obviously, probably wants to play against his future team, assuming that Real Madrid, by my predictions, are going to be there, right? He's going to be taking the fifth and final penalty shot when PSG meet Real Madrid. I don't know.
You've got PSG, Real Madrid in the final. Going to penalties?
Yeah. I mean, right now it's so early that I could say anything. People will forget, right? Yeah. Why? No, I don't know if it's going to be penalties. I don't want to see that. I don't want these players to go through what we saw with Manchester City, another, not just 30 minutes of extra time, but 40, whatever it may be. So I'm going to go normal time.
Normal time, and the winner is?
I'm sticking with Real Madrid. I mean, this Man City was always like in seasons past. I mean, I don't want to see it with early final, but I felt that one of those two teams would be favorites to win it. So have to hats off to Real Madrid. What an incredible performance.
The best case scenario for Real Madrid, if that were the case, would be like the World Cup final, where it's Real Madrid who win it. But even though he doesn't win it, Kylian Mbappe has an incredible performance that everybody praises. So they would win that way, knowing that's who they're getting. And
yeah, because the other scenario is, I mean, if PSG wins it and Mbappe plays a large role in it, I mean, fans forget, but I think the welcoming committee would be, I don't know, confused.
It's a bit confusing of who to pick between Roma and Leverkusen in the Europa League, because this is a great story behind these. We've got here's the bracket, right? So we've got Marseille, Atalanta on one side of it. We'll get to that in a minute. Just a quick comment on that, to be honest. But Roma against Bayer Leverkusen is quite fascinating, really, because obviously we all know Bayer Leverkusen now Bundesliga champions. Everything that Xabi Alonso has done with this team, 44 match unbeaten run, scored loads of goals, just absolutely doing what they set out to do every week. They've been brilliant, and obviously they're still in this competition. They're still in the Pokal, they're in the final of that. So it could be 3 trophies for them at the end of the season. But Roma, since Daniele De Rossi took over, have really changed. And it's like they're all on board with Daniele De Rossi. Things are looking really good for them. And here they are now in a semi-final. It's quite hard to call this one, Janusz. What do you think of it?
Yes, it is. I mean, logically right now thinking, it isn't hard for me because we talk so much about Xabi Alonso, but we have to talk about Daniele De Rossi because now Roma are quite watchable. And this is not necessarily a dig towards Jose Mourinho on my part, but it's obvious everybody's enjoying playing. It's a different way of playing. I think, at the very least, you have to give credit to Jose Mourinho because he's put a foundation, right? I mean, that's his team. He's put a foundation, winning trophies in Europe for the first time in history. So that is important. But obviously, the way these same players are performing and playing under Daniele De Rossi is totally different to that of Jose Mourinho. So Daniele De Rossi gets, a young manager, just like Xabi Alonso, inexperienced to a degree. But I think Leverkusen is deeper. It's more talented in this one. The fact that they're home in a second leg, obviously is important, although Roma, they won at the San Siro. But yeah, I would have to say Leverkusen. It's not necessarily because of, what's in front of them, how much they can win. It's just that when you watch them, they sort of never panicking, playing the same way, the ability to change from game to game, 6 or 7 players, and nothing changes. The level doesn't drop off. It did a little bit against West Ham away, but look at how they recover, right? Yeah. No panic. You bring in Frimpong, and that changes the game just a little bit. A couple other players as well. So you have to say, looking at the depth of teams, when we get to that, obviously there's going to be some other games that are going to be taxing for both sides. I think that Leverkusen would have to be favorites here.
Yeah, Leverkusen always come alive after minute 85. The stats show it, and everybody who watches knows.
There's a reason for that. I explained to you when we did the Champions.
I know.
People think that it's desperate, and it's in the end they find a way of what happens if one day they don't. That's not all about that. I mean, they sap you of energy. They continue to play the same way. They're a little bit like Manchester City, aren't they? Manchester City at their best when they have possession and they probe and they look for it, something that they weren't able to do against Real Madrid, but they were close a couple of times. That happens in a game, but I don't necessarily think that this is this Bayer Leverkusen that kind of gets lucky in the end, or there's some story or destiny behind all of that. I think it's very much calculated. When they score early, they can run it up like they did against Werder Bremen, and but sometimes it takes time to break down very, very good teams, and I suspect Roma is going to be one of them.
Give me a quick pick on Marseille, Atalanta.
Oh, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. That's his competition, isn't it? I mean, scoring. I don't know if he's last one. I don't think he did. But anyway, Gasparini. I mean, what a story. Bergamo. I mean, a little bit of bias here, I suppose. I'm going to give it to Atalanta.